Right, so this is going to be a really low edited, low dopamine video. Okay, the whole point of this video is to not get you guys stimulated and, really boost your dopamine as much as other YouTube videos do. This is just to give you the real raw and source and the real actual value that you can actually implement into your day to day. And it's going to be basically me just walking you through the exact routine that took me from 0 to 10K per month as a sales rep that was getting into closing and then also transitioning into a business owner. All right, so this is when I was doing appointment setting and closing, sharpening my skills and becoming a business owner. Super low effort, super low quality. I've just put this all together so that you guys can have actionable steps that you can put into your next day, that you can literally start from today, planning tomorrow, so that you can actually start being progressive and actually start being able to make money. All right, so I'm just going to get straight into it. First things first is, in order to get to 0 to 10K plus per month, the majority of the things that you need to do is work. Okay, you don't need to do the flashy things. You don't need to wake up, do a cold ice bath, do a 10K run, meditate, go to the sauna, and by the time you're ready to work, it's about 12 p.m. All you need to do is simplify your day and cut down the amount of time that it takes for you to wake up and work, but still be in the right, clear, and mental headspace. Okay, and the biggest thing that you're going to take from this video is also the routine, but also this. Because when it comes down to being productive and having the best day ever, the magic is in the night before, okay? The success of your day comes down to how you prep for your next day and having clarity when you wake up. Because the biggest thing that stops a lot of people from actually being productive and having a good day is the decision fatigue. If you have to wake up every single morning and have to figure out and plan as you go what you do and what your next steps are, your brain is already going to be tired from thinking, because there's so many things that you could be doing, there's so many things that need to be done, that if your brain doesn't actually have clarity on what it is that you need to do, nothing's going to get done. Which is why the biggest needle mover for me that actually pushed me forward was understanding exactly what I needed to do and writing that down the night before. So all that I needed to do whenever I woke up is just follow the routine, follow the step-by-step plan and get to where I want to go, all right? So here's an literally example of what I'd do. First things first is I'd write down, literally in this notepad, all of the specific things I had to do for that day. So if I had to go somewhere, or if I had to pick something up, or if I had to do something with family, I'd write it down. I'd write down whatever specific time it was. I'd write down all of my daily objectives. Okay, daily objectives are things that I needed to do that day, and I wouldn't allow myself to go to sleep until I wrote those daily objectives. And then what I'd do is I'd either write it down on a pen of paper through all the times that I need to do it and plan my day like that, or more digital, something that works a lot better because you'll always have it in front of you. You may not always have the pen and paper. Is I'd write it down on my Google Calendar or any sort of calendar, exactly what I need to do. So as you can see here, here's an example. Wake up at 7, do this at 8:30 to 9, learn, etc. Here's just an example of literally like my daily routine from like today. Okay, this is an example, writing down everything before so it's clear. But I'm going to walk you through the exact routine, the exact rough walkthrough of what I used to do when I was a sales rep. So you have a good idea now of what I was doing and how I was making my day as productive as possible as I was just an appointment setter and a closer. All right, cool. So first things first is I'd wake up super early because I was the type of person where I found out that for earlier in the day when people aren't awake, when there's not a lot of people to speak to, there's not a lot of people to message, I can just put my phone on D&D and not expect any messages. Those were the days where I was most productive, and that is when I was able to start my day, because momentum is the biggest thing. And the thing I'd love to do is I'd love to start the day off, wake up and do some slight exercise. And this isn't anything crazy, right? This isn't a 5, 10K, 15K run, as I just said. This is some slight exercises and get some sun in your eye, okay? Starting your day with sunlight in your eyes is going to help you massively. So an example of what it used to look like is either walking, running or skipping. And to be honest, to this day, I still do this. Before I wake up, before I touch my screen, I'll either journal, I'll write down my thoughts, I'll practice some gratitude, I'll go on a little walk, a short one, I might go outside and do a little run, 2 to 5K, or I might just do some skipping. Something simple so that, I can reset my dopamine. I don't touch my phone 30 minutes until I've woken up. So, I can actually wake my day and actually live in my own accord and, not be too worried about social media or what's going on. So I'd wake up around this time, get some slight exercise, and then as soon as I was done that, what I'd do is I'd wake up and I'd do this, and then from 7 a.m. to 7:30, this is when I'd get my shower, and I'd always love to start the day reading as well. Okay, you don't have to do this, but I thought reading really helped me. It'd get me excited for the day. I might read a really good self-improvement book that would teach me some good things. I might even read the Daily Stoic. Okay, stuff like that. Books really used to help me, and this is still stuff that I do to this day. From about 7 a.m. to 7:30, I'd shower, and it's important to note that I wouldn't eat yet. I don't eat as soon as I wake up because I find that makes me slow and lethargic. That's what I found personally, and I'm also someone who gets hungry throughout the day. I want to be on a certain amount of calories, so I'd rather save my calories and my food till later on when I'm not really that hungry, rather than doing it straight away. As soon as I've done that, first things first, I'm getting straight to the work now, okay? From about 8 p.m. till 12 p.m., I'd be appointment setting, and I'd do at least a 4-hour work session just on the DMs, on my computer, opening Instagram, replying to messages on behalf of my client, on behalf of myself, and making sure that I'm getting productive and I'm doing money-making activities as soon as I wake up, all right? So I'd confirm the calls that my closer had for the day or that I had for the day. I'd clear the inbox, okay? So all of the messages that came throughout the night, I'd message them, I'd reply to them, make sure they're all good, book any calls that needed to be done. I'd also do some follow-up, so I'd look on my CRM, go through all of the people that I messaged or that I needed to follow up. And I'm just getting straight away, I'm getting productive throughout the day. What a lot of people do is they'll start their day and they won't do anything that's needle movement, that's actually making them money. And they'll get to about 12 p.m. and all of it they've done is just like mental masturbation stuff that doesn't actually really help them. As soon as I've done that, as soon as I've confirmed calls for the day, this will take me, about a 4-hour session. Then I have my first meal of the day. I used to have my first meal of the day, and I still do, at around 12 a.m. to about 12:30 p.m. 30 minutes, low carbs. Okay, I wouldn't want to eat loads of carbs, loads of bread, stuff like this, because, it would make me lethargic. I'd want to eat something with high protein, a little bit of carbs to make sure I'm energized or, for later on when I go and work out so that, I've got carbs. But then I'd also do some reading whilst I'm eating my first meal, or I'd listen to a podcast or something of the sort. As soon as this was done, from 12:30 till 2 p.m, guess what? I'm doing more appointment setting. I'm replying to all of the people, I'm messaging people, I'm booking calls, and I'm just doing the work that makes me the money. Okay, so in your situation, even if you're not appointment setting, you really want the first 5, 6, 7 hours of your day to just be stuff that's actually making you money, not things that, look good and, that you see in like a perfect daily routine video. As soon as I've done that, and as soon as it got to about 2:30 p.m, now I'm starting to prepare for calls. Whether it's my calls, whether I'm taking training calls, whether I'm taking coaching calls, I prepare from about 2:30 to 4 p.m. I start preparing for calls, and then I'd start taking the calls, right? So from about 3 to 4 is when I'd actually start getting on calls. I'd always push my calls, and I still do to be honest, till later on during the day. And this is when I actually start speaking to people because I've done the majority of my work before. So what you want to focus on is throughout your day, you want to do your deep work, the most needle movement work, and then you want to get into your calls later. All right? From about 4 p.m. till about 7 p.m, I'm on the calls. Whether it's with my mentors, whether it's with my coaches, whether it's with leads, whether I was closing or whether I was triaging. This is when I'm calling the people. This is where I'm on the phone because this is where I found I had the most energy and I wasn't really doing like a lot of work where I needed to think about it. I just needed to actually do the action. And then as soon as this was done, I would like to do my gym workout, like my actual workout. Obviously I did a little bit of exercise earlier on. I'd like to have my first gym session, my only gym session, from about 7:30 to about 9 p.m. All right, 1 hour to 1 hour 30. This is when I found the specific gym I went to. It wasn't too crazy busy, like there wasn't a load of people there. So I could go in there, still talk to people, still be social. And this is where I'd also be speaking to a lot of people and just, be doing my gym workout, all right? So whether you have a workout, whether it's running, your main workout after your slight exercise, I personally, and you can see if this works for you, I'd do it from about 7:30 till 9 p.m. As soon as 7:30 to about 9 p.m, as soon as that was done, and 9 p.m. is now when I'm having my dinner, okay? This is when I'm having my final meal. I'd either cook, I'd either order something healthy, or I'd ask my mum to specifically make me something that I liked. And I'm having dinner, okay? Super simple, you don't have to overthink it. And then after dinner, from 9:30 p.m. to about 10 p.m, this is when it's family time. This is when I'm speaking to my mum, speaking to my dad, speaking to my sisters, etc. Just reconnecting with people, not being a little cave goblin in my office or in my room. I'm just, preparing, spending some quality time, watch a movie, do something, just actually socialize and work with other people. And then from about 10 to 11 p.m, this was really my favorite time of the day because this is when I was learning. And this is when I'd actually start doing more like passive learning, all right? And when I say passive learning, this is when I was building my skills. So if I wanted to learn about a specific topic, if I wanted to learn how I can do certain things, if I wanted to learn and get better and work on specific sales things and work on my conversations or build my script or whatever I was doing, this is when I start learning. I'd be watching the videos, or I'd be watching Hormozi, I'd be watching the business videos, I'd be watching the sales videos, the self-improvement videos, the Hamzas, all of that. These are all things where if you do a lot of learning and if you do the majority of your learning before you go to sleep, I actually learned this when I was doing my exams, you retain the information a lot better so you can wake up and you can implement it, especially if you write down notes and you read over them, all right? So from about 10 to 11, I'm doing passive learning. And then after that, 11 p.m. till 12 a.m., I'm winding down. I'm getting ready for bed. I'm having my shower, might read a little bit more pages, turn my phone off. By 12 a.m., I'm in bed. I wake up at 6:30 and I do it all again. Okay, so that is exactly what my day would look like on a weekly basis. But when it came down to the weekends, it'd be a little bit different. Okay, I'd wake up a little bit later. I wake up at around 8 to 9. And during Saturdays, this is a whole learning day, a skill building day, but also socializing and living life. Because what you want to understand is if you're not learning and if you're not just working, you also need to be factoring in time so that you can actually do what you got into life for, and you can spend time with your family. You can go out, you can have days out, you can go and meet your friends, you can go play some games. You can all do all of these types of things that you actually enjoy, because this is what actually allows you to perform at a higher level when you're throughout the week, okay? So this was my recreation day where I'm learning, building my skills, focusing on content, focusing on when I get better at. You want to really figure out what it is that you want to work on and then do it on these specific days. I used to love Saturdays. This was like my knowledge day. And then on Sundays, okay, this is going to sound a little bit crazy. You're not even going to think of this. I did nothing. Sundays, I literally call them, up until now, to be honest, obviously now that I'm a business owner, it's a little bit different. I'd call it my rest day and my do nothing day, where I quite literally do nothing but work. Nothing but work. Nothing but work, nothing but rest, watch a movie, watch some YouTube videos again, maybe do some more learning, but I'm not doing anything too crazy. I'm not pushing my mind. I'm not being too strenuous. I'm just getting ready and I'm getting recouped for me to, guess what, start the day on Monday and go hard, all right? But the number one thing that you need to take out of this video is planning your day before, making sure everything there is set, everything is ready, so that all you have to do is wake up, follow a schedule. You can add in the specific things. Say if you have to go to school, say if you have to go to work. I can also make a video if you guys want me to comment on how I used to balance my day when I was still working my full 9 to 5 whilst getting into this, exactly how I'd schedule that as well. So you guys can see how I'd fit everything in, how I was making sure I was productive. But overall, if you follow this specific routine, I promise you guys, you will make so much more money and your life will actually be so much better. You'll get so much more done. You'll be so much more productive just by, first of all, having a plan, following a strict routine and doing all of the things I just said. Okay, so comment if you liked it. Super simple video, super low effort, not very dopamine rising, and I hope this helped.